Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Ashley and I'm an architect in Ontario, and in this video we're going to be talking about why I chose UBC for my master's degree in architecture. So grab a cup of coffee and let's get started. So why exactly did I choose UBC? Now there are several factors that I will be sharing with you in this video, and this might help you in your process of applying to schools and so on. Now, it really is an individual by individual choice because we each are different and we may have different factors that are important to you. But perhaps by hearing the factors that I took in consideration, this might help you with your decision and help you with what schools you should be looking into and what to consider as well. So number one, recommendation. Now, funny enough, I actually got recommended to apply to UBC from a former UBC student who attended the master's degree in architecture, and they were actually my mentor for my undergrad thesis. And so while they were mentoring me, they mentioned UBC, and when I first applied to schools, funny enough, I didn't think of UBC. I actually applied to other schools, and I went to another school, and then I found out I really didn't like the program, and there were things that I wish I thought of when I was applying to schools. But after going through that experience, I realized what I should be looking into and what factors to take into consideration. Number two, the faculty. So once I started to put UBC on the radar is when I started to really dive into the program. So I started to look into the faculty, and I started to examine where they studied, what type of research topics they were very interested in. And so what I noticed across the board was that there was a real big variety of topics and research topics across all the faculty members. And so that really intrigued me into the program. In comparison to some of the other programs that I was looking at, there seemed to be kind of a niche for that school, and they didn't have a variety of topics. So I really appreciated that from UBC, is that all the faculty brought so much expertise from different topics, and they all had different interests as well. So, and just looking at all their resumes or little bio profiles on the website, and just learning about all the faculty, I was really interested in the program because I felt like the faculty are they make the program. And a lot of these faculty, you're gonna be working with them on a daily basis. So it's important that you also align with their interests, or if you don't know yet, and at the time I didn't know what my research topics that I was really interested in and what I wanted to explore for even my thesis. But what I knew is that I wanted to have enough options so that I can find that topic. Was it going to be something more technical on material research or more theoretical? I didn't know at the time, but what I really appreciated was that there was this variety amongst the faculty, which really allows you to explore all the different topics and then find what you're really interested in. So that was definitely one of the main items that I was looking into when I was looking at all the schools, and one of the major things that got me to choose UBC versus all the other schools as well. Number three, the facilities. Now, I wasn't looking for a state-of-the-art type of facility, but I was looking for a program that had the minimum items for you to explore and for you to test ideas. I didn't realize this at the time, but then once I started looking at the programs, this is something that does vary a lot across the board. A lot of the schools didn't even have a 3D printer, didn't have a laser cutter, a CNC, and so on. A lot of them had a wood shop, but then they wouldn't have all the other tools, and I thought those were very important. So UBC checked all those boxes. They had all those tools at your exposure for you to test certain ideas and so on. And I think it's really important that you have those type of tools out there so that you can then explore different ideas, even if you don't use them, but you have that option should you find a particular topic or something that you want to test out. To know that you have those tools is really helpful, because you could find the tools outside of the university, but it's very difficult and it can become very pricey. So I thought that was something at the time I felt that was really important, and UBC checked all those boxes. They had those tools and they had those options. Now, it wasn't the state-of-the-art type of facility, but again, it had the minimum that you would need, which, believe it or not, a lot of other schools didn't have that. Number 4, the curriculum itself. Now, what also got me to choosing UBC was I found that UBC had that balance that I was looking for. It wasn't too theoretical and it wasn't too conceptual. It had that balance between conceptual theory and also the practical and functional aspect of a design, so that technical side. So it wasn't too technical or too conceptual and theoretical. And for me, that was really important because I find that for me in practice, that is the most value you can get. You don't want a project to be so practical where it doesn't have a story, it doesn't connect with people, and it doesn't have that magical, I wouldn't say magical, but that conceptual side as well. And I think both the practical and the conceptual are what make a project, and that's something that I really value. And I struggled to find that type of program and that school that would offer that balance between both. And so that's something that I really found with UBC, was that it had that balance between theory and between concept. And so for me, I knew right away, to be honest, that was the program, because for me, again, that was so important because I came from schools that were too technical, where I am calculating rebar in concrete, something an engineer does, and we're being taught by engineers. And then on the other spectrum, too conceptual, where the buildings were not grounded in reality. Because if it doesn't have some practicality to it and functionality, and it's not brought to ground, well, it's not really realistic either. So having that balance and making that work and having a program that appreciates both, because when you are in a very technical program, they don't appreciate so much the conceptual and the theoretical side. And again, if you're on the theoretical and conceptual side, they don't really appreciate the technical either. And so it kind of forces you, in a way, the program, unfortunately, kind of molds you in that direction. And so for me, going through the very technical side and having a hard time with that type of program, I knew that I wanted that balance, because for me, having that concept, that story behind your building is very important, just as much as making a building functional as well and having that technical side as well. So for me, both were very important. And again, this really comes down to the individual, but I knew for myself that was something that I really wanted. And so when I was looking at schools, and after looking at UBC a bit closer, I really realized that UBC would be that fit for me. Number 5, equally important, is cost. Now, it could be a great program, but not be financially feasible for you. And so that was also an issue for me, because when I was evaluating the different offers that I had, some of them were actually quite close to the program that UBC had to offer in terms of the diversity of research and so on. Then when it came to cost, it was 10 times or even more than 10 times the cost. And I really didn't want to, go into that kind of debt. And I didn't want to, even though if I got scholarship for 1 year, I didn't want to have the possibility of not getting scholarship for the second year. And because the program is so costly, it would almost cost as much as doing, 3 or 2 years somewhere else in total. So for me, the cost was also a very driving factor, and UBC was actually one of the most affordable programs in Canada for a master's. And there's actually a lot of students from the US that came over to Vancouver to study because the program was affordable in comparison. So that was something that really drew me into the program, was how cost effective it was. Cost effective in comparison to the other programs. I still feel like university in general is super expensive and way too expensive in my opinion. but I do think that in comparison to the other programs, it was one of the most cost-effective ones. Now, I don't know if that's still the case today, but at the time, it was one of the cheaper ones. I think there was only another school that had a comparable tuition fee, but all the other schools were a lot more expensive in comparison. Number 6, the location. Now, I knew that I didn't want to be in a small town per se. I still wanted to be in the city. And so the location of the university, of the program, of the building of which you would be studying the program is just as important too. So evaluating where it's located, where it's close by, how would you get to the university, commuting, and so on was just as important for me, because there are some programs that are outside of cities. And so it depends on what you're looking for. But for me, I wanted to be close to the city, in the city. That was really important. And so UBC offered that. Although the campus is a bit isolated because it is in Vancouver, but it's slightly further away from downtown. It's about a 30-minute bus ride, just about. So it's not that far, but you know, if there was a downtown campus, I think that would be fantastic as well. At one point, they did have a downtown location for one of the studios, but then that was something that I believe they no longer have. So number 6, student work. So UBC, when I went on the website, the student work I felt was quite strong, and I felt that the ideas, even the technical information on the drawings and the projects that were completed were very thoughtful, and the graphics were really nice. And I thought to myself, well, you know what, if this is the kind of work that's coming out of the program, you know, I really thought there were strong projects and strong ideas. I felt really motivated, and I felt good about my decision about UBC. And so that really led me to choosing UBC as well. So taking all these 6 factors, that really made me feel confident about my decision to go to UBC. And that's something that till this day, I'm so happy that I did choose UBC. And it really was the perfect blend for me, and it was a perfect balance between the technical and conceptual. The faculty were amazing. I would definitely recommend the program to anyone. And if these factors, you know, that you're taking into consideration align with my factors, then I would really strongly encourage you to look into UBC and to the master's program in architecture. I hope this video was helpful. If it was, make sure to like the video. And of course, if you want to support the channel, make sure to subscribe. You can do that here. If you want to learn more about my experience at UBC, I would encourage you to watch this video here. Until then, I hope to see you on the next video. Bye!